Welcome, poolside pelvic floor Pilates. This is all about strengthening and releasing. So we are gonna have 4 circuits this morning. 2 circuits are gonna be focused on releasing, and that's where we're gonna start and finish. So it'll be just super nice to release there. And then the in-between is gonna be the strengthening phase. So we're gonna start on our backs with a nice gentle warm-up. A lot of this class is gonna be kind of going inward, tuning in, and just allowing your body to really feel that mind-body connection. So as you come down here, let's begin in a butterfly position here. So your knees are open, feet roll together, and go ahead and just place your hands, one on your lower abdomen and one on your upper abdomen. I want you to close your eyes and just completely allow your body to melt into your mat. Notice how you're feeling here. Notice your breath. Notice your energy, notice the atmosphere, the sounds, the smells, the stillness. Now just begin to deepen your inhalation and your exhalation. And as you're beginning to breathe, just start to notice the inhale filling up a little bit lower than higher. Really start to feel your bottom hand inflating on the inhale. And starting to go a little bit more inward with the breathing. A lot of pelvic floor releasing comes from our mental capacity, our concentration, the ability to really go within. As you're noticing your inhales, I want you to start to notice the breath in as if it's like a hammock, and you just slide into the hammock and the fabric is stretching and kind of dipping. Think of that like your pelvic floor muscles. Inhaling, everything is expanding, opening, releasing. And then exhale, just softening your body into the mat. Let's stay here for 5 more breaths together. Really concentrating on the inhalation, filling up through the pelvic floor like a hammock. And then exhaling, just melting into your mat, letting the muscles soften and release. Gently release your hands to your side and go ahead and plant your feet flat on the mat with your knees straight up towards the sky. Moving into your pelvic tilt here. You're going to start with a breath in. Again, just feel neutral pelvis. Little space underneath the small of your back, and then as you exhale, you're going to engage your lower core muscles and start to tip your pubic bone upward, and notice how you close that space underneath the small of your back. Inhale, release and relax to neutral pelvis. Now the biggest thing here is as you're exhaling, really try to focus on your core and keeping your glutes relaxed right now. So the movement is very small. It probably looks like nothing is really happening on the screen, but again, this is about going inward. Draw the hip bones up to the bottom ribs, and then inhale, releasing to neutral. This is just a really nice lower back release as well. Exhaling as you're coming up, and then inhaling as you're relaxing. Here we go for 3 more. Exhale, feeling like you're zipping up a really tight pair of jeans, and then inhale to neutral. Exhale, zipping up. Inhale to release. We'll go 1 more here with the pelvic tilt. And then inhale to neutral position, moving into a knee sway. We are going to isolate into pelvic stability now. So we're not going to rock side to side or up and down. As one knee starts to move out like a butterfly, you're going to open your left side as you inhale. And then exhale, draw the left knee back up towards the sky. Moving to the right side as you inhale, open. Try not to let the body rock to the right, so feel those lower core muscles slightly activating, and exhale, returning back to center. Now both knees at the same time. Inhale, we're gonna open. You're gonna rock towards the pinky toe side of your feet. Let gravity start to take over. Really feel the stretch into the pelvic floor, and then exhale back to center. Let's do one more round there, starting with the right side only. Inhale as you open. And then exhale, draw back to center. Inhale, open. Notice your sits bones widening on the open. And exhaling back to center. Now both legs for 3. Inhale, we'll open. Feel the butterfly stretch. And exhale, back up. Inhale, open, rocking to the pinky toe side of the foot, lifting the big toes to the sky. And exhale, knees up. One more time. Inhale, open to the butterfly wings. And then exhale, close the butterfly wings and hold those feet flat and hip width apart, moving into a spinal bridge roll. Inhale, peel through your pelvic, tilt off of the lower back, the mid back, the upper back, slowly lifting towards your shoulder blades at the top. We're gonna feel the glutes a little bit. And then exhale, roll down bone by bone. Be really intentional about melting the spine down and into the mat. Peeling up, slowly rolling one vertebra at a time as you lift on the inhale. And then exhale, melting the spine back down and into the mat. Inhale, peeling up. We've got 3 more. Just imagining the spine rolling up and exhaling back down like a wave. Last 2. Notice how things are starting to open, shift. We're creating more mobility in the backside of the body. Part of pelvic floor strengthening and releasing is all about the connective tissues, the muscles that support all of the areas around the pelvic floor, rolling down, down, and down. Let's go ahead and hug those knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a good squeeze here. You can just do a little rocking side to side, massaging through the low to mid back. We'll bring the chin up towards the chest, feeling the abdominal muscles begin to flex and activate. And let's just start to initiate some rocking and rolling up and down the spine here. Eventually, we'll make our way all the way up to our seat. Open the knees into your butterfly stretch as the soles of your feet come together. And just take a nice hinge forward here as you bring your nose towards your toes. Close your eyes again, relax the tension in the shoulders, let gravity take over. You could even push your elbows into your inner thighs, pushing your knees down a little bit more. Again, just allowing things to start to open and release here. Take 2 more deep breaths in and out. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, we're going to begin to stack the spine back up and swing your legs around as you find yourself on all fours, hands and knees. This is going to move us into our releasing sequence here. Position your palms underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. We're just going to start with a transverse abdominal breath. So go ahead and soften the abdomen as you inhale. And again, feel like the tummy muscles are dropping like the bottom of a hammock. And then as you exhale, just going to draw the tummy muscles up, feeling the lift of the lower abdomen, like you're drawing your belly button to the sky. Inhale, releasing down. And then exhale, drawing the tummy muscles up. And just feeling, again, the connection into the core here. Inhale and exhale. So we want to hold that lower ab lift, keeping the belly muscles away from that hammock-like position, and you kind of feel your hands gently pushing down into the mat. Now we're going to locate just our pelvis here, and you're going to inhale, stick out your sits bones and lift your tailbone. And then as you exhale, just rocking the tailbone under. So this is just a pelvic rock here. This is our pelvic tilt in tabletop position. So you're gonna inhale, more like your neutral pelvis, and I like to be a little more dramatic with it, kind of really noticing like sticking out the bottom, and then exhale, just rocking at the hips. So we're trying to avoid like a full cat and cow here. So just the pelvis is moving, inhale, and exhale into the curl. So we should feel, again, that pubic bone to belly button connection in that lower ab. And then inhale, you're releasing and you're really feeling the sits bones widen. Exhale, we've got 2 more. We're feeling the lower back opening up a little bit on this one, yes. And last one, we'll exhale, curling in. Now then, again, let's just hold our neutral spine, neutral pelvis here in tabletop, coming into and around the world. So you're gonna shift your body weight to the right, swoop your butt down like you're in a child's pose off to the left, and then come on up, and then just kind of let your shoulders release over to the right. We'll go 3 each side, really sinking back, around and up. I almost kind of like to just like let the body like feel like it's doing a little dance here. And then let's reverse it to the left for 3. Exhale, down, around, and inhale as you're coming back up. Swoop over to the left, down, around, and back up. One more time. Over, down, around, and inhale, coming back up. Now let's come down to our forearms here. You're gonna move your knees in and your toes out towards the edges of your mat here. I want you to drop your chest a little bit so you really feel your booty shining up towards the sky. And then this is really gonna just open the pelvic outlet. Again, you can just let your head release down, close your eyes, because this is, again, the releasing is so tricky because we really have to go inward when we're focusing on pelvic floor releasing and relaxing. It's not like muscle engagement where we get that feedback of a muscle activating. This is so much more mental than you actually feel something happening in the body. If you're kind of questioning, am I doing it right? Is something happening? Is this it? Then you're probably doing it right. So just allowing the inhales to imagine your sits bones, your pelvis opening, and then just exhaling to soften. Use the inhale to create space, like a balloon is inflating. And then exhale, the balloon is just slowly, naturally deflating. Now you can stay right here and just focusing on the breath work into the pelvic floor, or maybe you want to add some movement here. As you inhale, you're going to push your body weight back. Your chest is going to get towards your thighs. And then as you exhale, we're going to pull the shoulders forward. Inhale, we're going to push back, really feeling the pelvic outlet open and stretch. And then inhale, coming forward. If we're rocking, 3 more, or holding 3 more deep breaths. Exhale. Inhale. So it's really great hip mobility as well into the hip flexors. Last one, big breath in, and then exhale, we'll come forward. Make your way back up to your palms, hands and knees, back to tabletop, and we're gonna swing your left foot forward outside of your left hand here. I want you to shift your weight forward so you really feel the stretch into the hips, maybe even into the inner thighs. Again, all of the muscles are connected here, and we're gonna start some hip circles here, moving towards the right, inward, around, and one more time to the right. Sinking forward into the stretch again, and then shift to the left, back down, around, and forward. 2 more to the left, and last one as you come forward. Hold the deep lunge, lift the chin, lift the chest, open the throat, open the heart, and just hold the stretch there. Go ahead and push back with the left knee, and we'll change sides. Right foot outside of the right hand. We'll start shifting the body forward. You might notice that in the inner thigh, in the hip flexors, and then start your circles to the right. Back slightly, you might get a little hamstring there, coming around and through. Again, just noticing as the foot is slightly off center, as you're shifting to the right and to the left. Let's reverse it for 3. Again, just noticing as the hips are moving around, how the pelvic floor is beginning to open and soften. One more time to the left, and we are gonna hold that lunge here. Now curl your back toes. Oh, let's get that little chest lift up with the heart. Really feel the body, the front line energy opening and expanding. Let's tuck the back knee under here, push through your hands, push through your feet, and you're gonna hop up here nice and wide. Heels are actually gonna be off your mat, and this is where it's helpful if you do have a yoga block. You're gonna come down and take a seat on the block, just allowing your sits bones to drop in. And again, if you don't have a block, you don't need one, but it does help just allow the body. And if you need to go up a little higher too, you can turn the block up so the hips and pelvis are supported a little bit more. When we want to bring the hands into prayer position is the knees really open. And then let's close the eyes again here. This is going to finish out our first releasing circuit. So allowing the inhales to almost feel like you're breathing down and into the block. And then exhale, just notice your body, like your body weight sinking heavier into the block. 4 more breaths here. And exhale. Inhale. Filling up, feel the breath again down low. You could also take your hands back to that position we started in our butterfly breathing at the beginning. And 1 more breath in here. And exhale, releasing. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and lift our hips off the block. I'm going to slide that out of the way. And go ahead and make your way onto your side. So you're right. Actually, we're going to be on all fours. Tabletop to start again here. Hands and knees. And we're going to start with your left side, working into our strengthening sequence here. So let's come back into that transverse abdominal breath connection here. So just inhale, feel the release of the tummy muscles slightly dropping. And then as you exhale without rounding the spine, pull the belly button up to the sky, feeling like you're zipping the lower abs in and up. And we're gonna come into donkey kicks here on the left side. You're gonna flex the left foot, lift up as you exhale. Notice a little bit more weight underneath your left palm so your body weight's not shifting to the right. We wanna feel the core, the glutes here, the hips and the pelvis, again, all working together. Now we're gonna get that muscle connection, that muscle feedback. Inhale, come down, and then exhale like you're stamping your footprint on the ceiling. Inhale, lower, and exhale, lift. Make sure you've got a soft bend in your elbows so we're not tensing chest, neck, and shoulders. We really wanna focus on the lower part of the body, the glutes, the hips, the pelvis, the core, the pelvic floor. And we're here for another 5. Exhale, lift. Lower. Focus on the crease of the seat here and lower for 3. Exhale and 2. Exhale. Hold the next one up on the exhale and give me pulses up without dropping. Squeeze, lift and lift. Pulse up for 8. Up 7. Think, lift, hold. Lift, squeeze. Here's 5. Up 4. Up 3. Up 2. Up 1. We're going to bring it down now for a side raise, fire hydrant. We're going to lift out to the side, little hold, and lower. Again, especially as you get out to the side, we should feel those left obliques a little bit more pressure underneath the left hand. Now really starting to feel that side glute, lifting and lowering, working into our abductors, the muscles around the hips and pelvis that support everything within. And we've got 5. Exhale. 4. Exhale. Keep the spine nice and long, chin up off the chest. 3. Soften those elbows again for 2. We're holding out for those pulses here. Lift. 10. 9. Little squeeze. 8. 7. Strong core. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1, and releasing down. Now go ahead and turn onto your right hip. So your left leg is on top as you find a reclined side position here. We want to be stacked from ankles, knees, hips to shoulders. Your bottom elbow is going to be pushing down into the mat, and it's super important that we don't just drop and sink here. We want to keep length and open, and we're going to start with feet flexed into a bent knee, hovering lift. So we're going to exhale, lift. Think about your core here and lower. You can bring your top hand there for feedback as you exhale, lift. Imagine like you're balancing a glass of wine on the outside of your knee. We don't want to spill a drop, so we're not lifting and opening. We want to stay nice and parallel on this first set. We're going to get to those external rotators in a minute, but just really starting to feel that isolation in our outer glutes, in our core, staying nice and long for 3 and 2 and 1. As we lower, we're going to come into our clamshells now. So really leverage your top heel and press into your bottom heel, making sure that we're not rocking the hip back. So that bottom elbow pushing down is really going to help keep everything stacked as we open and close. Exhale, open and close. Now again, I personally like to put my hand on body parts to feel the connection, to feel that physical activation in the open and the close. Are you feeling that side glute, especially as that top heel is really pressing down? And we've got 3. We're going to combo this in 2 and 1 more. Now let's come up to that hover. We're going to stay in our hover as we open the clamshell, parallel, and bring it down. Lift, open, parallel, lower. Beautiful. Lift, open, parallel, and lower. Oh my gosh, it's starting to burn. Are we feeling the under glute as well? Those external rotators for sure. We've got 5 and exhale, 4. Stay long, 3 and 2. Trying to strengthen all the muscles around the hips and pelvis here and bring it down. Whoo! All right, moving to our bottom leg now. So we're going to stretch the bottom leg out. The top foot is just going to go behind the knee. If we need to take a release here off that bottom elbow for a brief moment and come back down, roll out those shoulders, flex your foot. Now your glass of wine transition to the ankle, and we're going to lift. Feel the energy up the inner thigh and lower and lift. So again, we want to be really mindful that we're not rocking back to get more lift. The more we roll right up on the hip bone, push down with your bottom foot and really make that, or top foot rather, and make that bottom leg do the lifting. And we're here for 4 and 3 and 2. You got it. Hold it at the top and circles and lift, hold. Lift at the top and hold. Almost there. 2, level that foot. 1 and reverse for 5. Exhale up. 4, exhale, lift. 3, you got it. 2 and 1 more. Woo, lower down. We're going to flip to your back here now. So we're still focusing on your left leg. So as you lie down, your right leg is going to lift to the sky. Your left foot is planted for a single leg bridge here. So we're going to hamstrings and our glutes again. As you exhale, we're going to lift up. Feel that energy in the back of the left leg and make sure that we're not overlifting it into the lower back and releasing down. Exhale, lift, squeeze, hold, and lower down. Exhale, lift, squeeze, hold, and lower down. Exhale, bring it up and down. 1 more, bring it up and down. Now we're going to lift, hold at the top, and lift the left heel for 5 and 4. Are we feeling a little more hamstring glute on that heel lift? Last 2 and 1 more. Let's lower down with the left foot, and these come together now. So we're squeezing the inner thighs really tight. So that is our focus here. We want to feel that energy drawing in and up. Remember, this is a strengthening set here. As you exhale, you're going to lift the hips up. Oh, don't force the range of motion. It's going to be much less than it was when we were doing the single leg because our focus is on squeezing into our adductors, drawing that energy into the body. Tap the hips down. Exhale, we're going to lift, squeeze, and lower down. Again, focus on the connection of drawing in with the legs and lower down. So lift our inner thighs directed to our pelvic floor muscles. So you might notice a shake or a quiver here. Embrace it if you can. Last 3, exhale. 2, exhale. Last, exhaling on the lift. We're going to lower down and change positions once again. So heels are going to come in and slightly lift off. So those heels pressing together, which means your knees are now going to be out really wide. And as we get into our first lift here, we're going to go straight up, and you might make a little adjustment with your feet. We're going to just kind of almost hover down on this one. So you're going to drop the hips down on the inhale, and then exhale, rise it back up. Now this is going to transition us a little bit out of the inner thighs, and we should feel a lot more in the glutes. Yes? Exhaling on that lift. We've got 2 more, and then we are going to open, close at the top. So let's hold this, and I'll close the knees together, open, hover down. Lift, close, open, hover down, putting that together for 3 more. Open, bring it down, lift, together, open, bring it down. Last one, together, open, and bring it down for a release here. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, coming into a nice reclined figure 4 stretch here. And really worked on strengthening all of the supportive muscles. The inner thighs connect to the pelvic floor, the external rotators in the hips and glutes. All of these muscles support the connective tissue within the pelvic floor, so it's so important that we learn not only how to strengthen, but how to release. So that's why we're practicing both of that today. Let's switch legs, left ankle over right. Grab the back of the right for that nice figure 4 release here. And hug your knees towards your chest. Lift your head. Let's rock and roll up and down your mat here, back and forth, massaging the spine. Eventually, you'll make your way again up to your seat. Swing those legs around, and we are going to find the other side. This will finish out our second strength circuit here. So strong connection through your tummy muscles, feeling the lift into the deep core. The deep core is that kind of hidden layer of abdominal muscles called your transverse abdominis. Starting in your strong 4-point position here, we're going to come into our donkey kickbacks on the right leg as you lift. Squeeze, stamp your footprint on the ceiling, and lower to hover. Exhale, we want to think about the belly, booty, hamstring connection, making sure that we're not overlifting. If we overlift, it's going to look something like this, and we're going to drop into the lower back and lose that connection through the core. Here's 6, and exhale 5, exhale 4. Remember, soft elbows, soft shoulders, and 3. We add the pulse in 2, hold it at the top on 1, try not to drop, keep the belly button in and up, lift 10, up 9, up 8, up 7, up 6, up 5, up 4, up 3, up 2, up 1, and bring it down. For fire hydrants, we're going to go into that external rotator in the side, raise and bring it down nice and slow to a hover. Exhale, lift, get a little pause at the top, and then again, notice the weight in your right hand versus your left hand. We should feel a little bit of obliques with this as well. Those side abs here. We've got 5 more. Lift, exhale, and 4, lift, exhale, and 3, get that little pause. Almost there. 2, we have the pulses on the next one. We hold and we squeeze in the lift for 10, 9, 8, 7. The slower you go, the harder they are. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Lower down. Let's go ahead and turn on to your left hip now. So your right leg is on top. You're resting down on your left elbow. Again, starting in that nice stacked position here. Hand can start on abdomen as your feet are flexed. We've got that nice side leg raise and parallel. So you're going to exhale, come on up. Remember, we want to feel like there's that glass of wine on our knee, so we're not activating the external rotators yet. Exhaling as you lift, hold, and lower. Exhaling to lift, hold, and lower. Keeping the length in your whole body, pushing the bottom elbow down. I don't know about you, but I'm really feeling the bottom side stabilizing, especially after we already worked the first side. We've got 3 and 2, adding clamshells on the next one. Let's bring it down. Draw the top heel into the bottom heel. Lift and open. Make adjustment if you need to, and then close. Exhale, lift, squeeze. Again, if you want to take your hand on the top outer glute as you open, contract. Again, get that little pause to really make sure that the mind moves the muscles and resisting in. Like to imagine that there's like those loop booty bands and you're trying to press it apart and then slowly resist it back together. So the mind is so powerful in Pilates when we're doing just body weight. So that way when we are coming into resistance or working strength-based movements, especially around heavy weights, that we keep our body safe and we remember how to engage all of these muscles, right? So we can avoid injury. Last one, and let's combo it. So we bring it up to the hovering position. We're gonna work in the external rotation in the hovering clamshell, back to parallel and down. Lift, open, parallel, and lower. Lift, open, parallel, and lower. Beautiful, ladies. Open, parallel, and lower. Really getting the feedback in those external rotators. It is incredibly isolated. Oh my gosh. 5 more. And lower. 4. And lower. How we doing? Starting to burn. I know. Last 2. And 1 more. Lift, open, parallel, and lower. Woo! Let's prop the top knee up and stretch the bottom leg nice and long here, really feeling the length. Flex the foot, elongate out, push down, and let's lift, pause, and lower. Lift, pause, and lower. Lift, pause, and lower. Good. Get that nice squeeze. Feel the inner thigh and that energy pulling in and up. Again, trying not to rush. So a lot of this is getting the mind to, again, move the muscle. So you really want to get the feedback in the activation for 3 and 2. 1, we're going to hold for our circles now. They're not very big. We want to keep the foot parallel. So again, now that glass of wine is on your ankle, coming up and around. Up and around, push down with the bottom elbow. Think about your posture and lengthening here. Let's reverse it for 6. Lift the heel higher than the toe. And 4. And 3. 2. And 1. Beautiful. Flip to your back here. Your right knee stays bent and your left leg is going to go straight up towards the sky. Woo, sun is getting warm. Yeah. From here, we are going to drive down through the right heel. We're going to exhale, send the hips up into that single leg bridge, and then lower, tap down. Exhale, lift, squeeze, pause, lower, tap down. Exhale, lift, squeeze, pause, lower, bring it down. Exhale, lift, squeeze, hold, really drive through the heel, but keep the whole foot connected to your mat. 1 more time, lift and hold. Now add the heel elevations without the hips dropping. So notice the arms kind of assisting as you push down into the mat, feeling the shift into the hamstring. Holy moly. Again, supporting all of those muscles that support the pelvic floor for 3 and 2 and 1. Lower down, bring the left foot down so the knees are together and bring the hips down. Walk the feet in a little closer. And we are going to send both hips to the sky as we exhale, come up, squeeze, hold, and lower. Again, think about your under glutes right at the crease of your seat as you're lifting, but not over lifting because we don't want those inner thighs to come apart. So a lot of adduction, squeeze an orange between your knees, and exhale as you lift for 3. Exhale, we're here for 2. And 1 more. Now go ahead and bring it down. Pull your heels a little closer to your seat, but then you're going to open your knees, so it's kind of like a butterfly position here. As we get those hips up on that first one, you might need to adjust your feet, your toes, so it feels a little bit more comfortable. If your knees were too wide, you might bring them in a little bit closer. Make sure everything feels good. And we're going to set the hips down, a little tap hover, and bring it right back up. Inhaling down, exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Beautiful, ladies. Keeping those heels lightly pressing is really drawing your inner thigh connection. As you're lifting, you're feeling the lift from your glutes. We're here for 3. In 2, we add that open and close at the top. 1, bring it up, hold, close the knees together, open, bring it down to hover, lift, close, open, bring it down to hover. So we are just feeling the inner thighs, the outer glutes, the under glutes, again, supporting the external rotators as the knees open back up, feeling all of those supporting muscles around the pelvic floor. Last 2. And 1 more. Oh my goodness. Bring it down. Ooh. Wowzers. Let's cross the right ankle over the left thigh. The good news is we are done with the strengthening circuits. So let's come into our release here, crossing the ankle over the thigh. If you'd like to welcome a little rock here, that might feel good. Let's keep the ankle crossed this time and set the left foot down on the mat. The arms going out to a nice T here. Let's come into a rock to the left and then back up and over to the right. So just allowing this to become a little bit bigger so we can get a little bit more releasing into the hips and the glutes and those external rotators that we were just working so hard. And that side glute, our abductors. 1 more time to the left and right and back up to center. Let's release, cross left over right. And we'll start with the reclined figure 4, coming in to the chest as you grab the back of the right leg. Couple deep breaths here. Again, just notice even in this position how this is gently opening the pelvic outlet, kind of feeling your sits bones slightly widening, using your breath to release slow into the pelvic floor. And then as we release the right foot down and the arms go to a T, working in that nice lumbar rotation to center and then over to the left. And a lot of times we can correlate leaking, incontinence, pelvic pain to a weak pelvic floor, when actually it might be a sign that your pelvic floor is too tight, it's too overactive, and it's constantly engaged. So if you are someone that might feel constant back pain or notice that it's really hard to activate your glutes, or you can't really tell if your glutes are activating, sometimes that might mean you're actually in a constant state of tension in the pelvic floor. So again, this is why we're gonna finish with that releasing. So go ahead and bring your knees towards your chest, giving yourself a good squeeze here. Lift your head and begin to rock and roll up and down your spine again a few times, massaging out the back and eventually making your way to your feet, to all fours, hands and knees, tabletop again. And we're gonna revisit our releasing circuit. If you need to grab a quick drink here, good time. How are we feeling?
Good.
Warm, right, after that? You know, coming back to this now at the end to finish, especially activating all of the glute muscles, the inner thighs, all of those things that support the pelvic floor. Now coming into release, you might notice that you're able to feel a little bit more of the softening now that we did the strengthening. So as we're in our tabletop position again, just kind of march your knees around, wiggle around, keeping that soft bend in the elbow. And then we're gonna start with the pelvic rocking. So we're gonna inhale, release, and kind of lift the tailbone and the sits bones up. And then as you exhale, you're gonna curl your tail under and just feeling that in the lower abdominals. Inhale, releasing. Notice your belly does kind of drop out a little bit here. You do get a little bit of that arching in the lower back. And then exhale, just rocking into those lower abs, tucking the pelvis under. So again, this isn't your full cat and cow here. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's go 5 more. And exhale. Exhale. Two more, again, just allowing the body, the entire body here to now just be more relaxed and more released. Last one, and exhale. Now come to neutral position as we come into the circles here, shifting the body weight over to the right. Let your body just kind of feel like central here as you drop down. I like to close the eyes. Imagine nobody is watching. Shifting over to the right as you drop down. Exhale. Inhale. Shift up and around. One more time to the right. And reaching the arms, trying not to let the hands move. Just feeling the opposition. Sweep to the left as you reverse it. Really reach back through the tailbone. Keep the fingertips out in front and back up. Over, down, around. Really feel this in the sides of the body, feeling really lengthened here. And coming back up. Now let's move the knees in and the toes out here. Again, coming down to the forearms. So we will stay here just about 3 breaths, and then we'll invite the rocking. So you can kind of drop the chest a little bit, really try to lift the sits bones to the sky, close the eyes, and really go inward as you inhale. Inflate the imaginary balloon into the pelvic floor. And then exhale all the breath out. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale again, filling up the balloon. Pushing the sits bones wider. And then exhale, releasing. Now you can stay here if you're really enjoying the stillness and the breath, or we can inhale, push back, get a little bit more feedback of the widening. If you need to adjust your knees at all, just kind of rock them around. And then exhale as you shift the chest and shoulders forward. Inhale, pushing back. Really feeling opening, and you can kind of get that feedback from your knees, because are you feeling how your knees are wanting to push out as you rock back as well? Inhale as you reach, and exhale as you're coming forward. 2 more. Inhale and exhale. 1 more time. Inhale and exhale. Walk your hands up slowly back to your palms. Reposition your knees underneath you. And let's go ahead and start with the right foot wide of the right hand. We're going to sink forward into the hips. If you want to walk your hands forward to get a little bit more, now that this is our second round of releasing, you might notice body's a little bit more loose and a little bit more limber. And let's start the circle, hip circles off to the right. Come down, maybe send the hips a little bit further back so you get a little bit more in the hamstring, and then we'll come around and through. Again, really feeling the movement through the hips and pelvis as you make that circular-like motion. Coming back forward here, we'll reverse to the left for 3. Shift over, down, off to the side, and back through. Over to the left, out to the side, and back through. 1 more time, and back through. I'll go ahead and lift the chest, but if you want to walk your hands up to your right thigh here and just get a little bit more through the hip flexor, through the front body opening in this second round, go ahead and welcome that extra lengthening into the body. And then we're going to release the right side back as we return to all fours, hands and knees, and move the left foot outside of the left hand. Again, just start to shift hips forward, make any adjustments, gently pushing the left knee out to the side. You might feel a little more pressure in your pinky toe side of your foot. We're going to circle to the left first, swooping the hips back. As the left leg begins to straighten, you'll get a little bit into the hamstring, coming around and through. Hip circles to the left, down, around and through. Might even feel a little bit of feedback in the inner thigh. And let's go ahead and reverse it here. So shift right, down to the left and back up. Again, just letting the hips, the pelvis, everything be loose and limber. And like that saying, dance like nobody's watching. That's what we want to kind of focus when we're doing pelvic floor releasing. We're going to lift the chest here, coming up to the fingertips. And then if you want that extra hand to knee position, kind of sink just a little bit lower into the hips and pelvis. Chin can come up, shoulders are relaxed. Coming down with the hands, if you brought them to the knees, you're gonna lift off of your back knee and we're gonna step the foot up here. Go ahead and grab your block again if you wish. Otherwise, you can just drop down into a full yogi squat here, bringing your hands together, prayer position, pushing the elbows into the knees if you like that feedback, or we can just be a little bit more passive with it, letting the head come down. And then just really allowing the breath here in stillness. Again, coming back to the hammock-like analogy. Inhaling, inflating, expanding into the pelvic floor, taking the breath all the way down into the block if your sits bones are resting on that. And then just exhale, feeling the body melt and surrender. Inhale, really use the power of the mind to think about something other than just the breath, like be intentional. Maybe the balloon analogy works a little bit better for you. Maybe really envisioning the breath filling up into the block helps, or maybe the hammock-like analogy. One more breath in and out here. Go ahead and gently lift your hips up if you're sitting on the block. Go ahead and release that out of the way. As you come down onto your seat, I'm going to draw the soles of those feet together here, returning to our seated butterfly stretch, letting the chest hinge forward. Maybe the elbows gently add a little bit more pressure into the knees. Stay long through the spine here at first, kind of lifting the nose over the toes, really feeling like you're trying to pull your chest forward a little bit. And then just notice how that stretches a little bit more into the external rotators of the hips and maybe even in and around the sacrum and into the lower back. Let's take one more big breath in. And then on this exhale, we're gonna surrender a little bit more. Maybe the hands walk a little bit more out in front of you. Nose maybe drops a little bit more towards your toes. Being a little bit more passive here, again, allowing the exhales to release you and the inhales to fill up. Maybe the breath is a little bit more low back, sacral, tailbone area now than into the pelvic floor. Maybe you're feeling it into your side hips. Maybe you're feeling it into the inner thighs. Again, all of the muscles that surround and support the pelvic floor are also responsible for learning how to release, soften, and stretch. Use your next exhale to just really relax and notice if you found a little bit more range of motion. We'll slowly rise up on the inhale. Make sure you've got enough of your mat behind you as we lie down here. If you feel like you need to slide forward, we're going to keep the soles of those feet together as we recline here. Make sure the feet are just really lightly touching. And then notice how gravity feels like it's kind of pushing down on your knees a little bit. You've got a much more dramatic space underneath your lower back than you would if your knees were up like two mountain peaks. Now go ahead and take the hands onto one hand on the lower abdominals and one hand on the upper abdominals. Well, we're gonna revisit the pelvic tilt that we did in our warm-up. Here, as we exhale, we're gonna feel the lower abdominals pulling to the upper abdominals, and you're gonna notice how your knees are gonna have to lift up a little bit to close the space underneath the lower back. Now our goal here is to not activate the glutes. It's very tricky. So really use the feedback of the tactile cueing of the abdominals activating. Now inhale, releasing, letting the lower back lift away from the mat. Feel that big arch and curve. And then as you exhale, slowly peeling up, lifting the knees a little bit to close that space, and feel that zipping up from the lower tummy to the upper tummy, and then inhale, releasing. Again, exhale, feeling the butterfly pelvic tilt, and inhaling back to neutral. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, and inhale to neutral. 1 more time, exhale, and inhaling to neutral. Your arms are gonna release, palms face up to receive in positive energy. You can stay right here, allowing gravity to just let the knees, the pelvic floor continue to release. If this is just too much for you, we can always slide the legs out, nice and long and extended, and just allowing the toes to turn open and allowing your body to completely surrender here. Allowing your breath to come back to its natural pace and cadence. Again, noticing the sights and the sounds, noticing the stillness, noticing how your body feels here at the end of class versus how it felt at the beginning.